Good morning. Thank you for being here with us today. I do want to extend a thanks to the media because without your help we would not have found our Good Samaritan who is standing right behind me here. His name is Paul Langseth, Langseth. Also with me is Trooper Ron Richards, who is the trooper at the scene of the crash. We're here today because thankfully we had a truck driver that survived a horrific crash, and he would not have survived without the work of both our Minnesota State Trooper Ron Richards and our Good Samaritan Paul Langseth. This crash happened Monday afternoon, August 31st at 1:45 p.m. The crash was on Highway 60 at 410th Avenue, nearby the city of Windom in Jackson County. Today we'll have an opportunity to hear from both our Good Samaritan Paul Langseth and Sergeant Ron Richards about what they saw and felt the day of the crash. What we won't be able to discuss is the details of the crash just due to an open criminal investigation. There may be an opportunity in a few weeks to also release the video of the rescue as well, once the case is closed. First, I'll ask Sergeant Ron Richards to the podium, and he can walk you through what he observed and saw and felt that day.
Morning. Thank you, Lieutenant Nielsen. Paul, great to see you in a better light here instead of what was going on. First off, let me give you a quick idea of what was going on that day. We had a funeral escort that I was conducting where this is pretty much done standard. We try to block traffic to make sure the funeral can move safely for the family. And this was occurring on Minnesota 60 between the towns of Windom and Worthington, near the city of Heron Lake. It's on Highway 60, a nice flat stretch of area. It was on a rural intersection, and we had good visibility. What I was doing is I put my squad car and blocked the eastbound lane with my squad car with all the lights illuminated, and then I had moved with my reflective vest over to the other side so we could push the traffic that was coming westbound on Highway 60 over a lane, so as the funeral procession came out of the rural roadway, it could immediately turn onto Highway 60. We'd been there probably about 2 minutes as the procession continued. It's about 30-car procession, so a little bit longer than normal that we had out there. And I just happened to turn sideways in time to see a semi with a very silver large tanker, dry tanker coming by, and you could tell it was not going to stop in time. We got lucky that there was another tanker full of soybean oil right behind it, and luckily again that was soybean oil and it didn't ignite, and it wouldn't ignite. You can just imagine for a second what the scene I saw right after that was. If you can imagine a plume of yellow basically encompassing an area, and the other semi was full of fly ash, which is a gray, really light material. So now you've got this large cloud of fly ash also at the same time, followed with a large boom. And out of this comes a semi sliding on fire from a fuel tank that's ruptured and dragging on the ground, with a man half coming out of it screaming. So that's the scene that Paul got to roll into. He was there, stopped at the intersection, waiting for the funeral procession to go. This is what he saw, and that's what I saw as I saw it coming towards me. Luckily, we had a soft median that day. It got stuck in there, and that's when we all started moving. Right at that time, I made my initial calls for assistance to the scene. Again, I thought the driver was extremely injured just by what I saw. The semi coming towards me was completely crushed. You could tell the cab didn't look like anything was surviving at all. And the man, I thought, was more crushed in there than he was. Initially, I made a quick check, told the driver to stay there, because it's always better to hold him in position, waiting for our advanced medical to show up, than try to move him so we don't make any more other injuries on him. From there, I went and checked other drivers, came back, and at this time, the burning fuel tank from the first one had ripped off and was further down the road. What I hadn't saw to begin with was, with the semi that crushed the way it was, that the fuel system plus the other tank had now become on fire, and that was growing rapidly. As I ran back after checking the other people involved in the crash, Paul was standing there, gloves in hand, ready to take action. And I looked, saw the fire, turned to Paul and said, "We got to get him out." And from there, Paul didn't hesitate. He came right over, jumped into the smoke. We forced the door open, crawled up there in there. Paul got inside too. The fire was again spreading from the fuel tank and the fuel system, starting to creep into what remained of the cab area. And Paul was instrumental in getting him out. There is no way I could have got him out alone. And from there, we've got him out, got him away from the vehicle, made initial assessment on it, called in the update, called for more assistance. And Paul stayed with the driver, and I went to go check on the other areas. At that time, again, Paul was instrumental of calming him and keeping things going. I also want to thank numerous other people from the state of Minnesota and other places. Great volunteerism. Immediately, 2 nurses came, said, "Let me help." Another fire chief that was part of the funeral procession stopped, "Give me a jacket. I'll go out and help traffic, keep it off you." We had people out there that were willing to come to help, to go into that situation of fire, smoke, and we didn't even know what the other tanker had, which was, again, luckily soybean oil. From there, you can see just the great volunteerism of the people of Minnesota, and I have a great example of Paul standing next to me.
Thanks.
Paul?
Thank you. They've asked me to be here today, and you call me a Good Samaritan, but really it's reacting to the situation that was there. When we came over the hill driving towards Windom, we saw the squad car pull across the lane, and we thought, well, what the heck's going on? Are they doing a roadblock? But then you get closer and you realize that it's a funeral procession. So we were the first ones in line right by the squad car, and we were just sitting there chatting, and we heard a crash, heard a sound, and I looked in my rearview mirror and could see the semi sliding down the left-hand lane, and that cloud of dust looked like fluid, and it made me think of Terminator #2 with the liquid nitrogen, and I said, we're getting out of here. Put the car in drive and pulled over to the side past the squad car so that we were out of the issue. Several of the other cars followed behind us to get away from the burning fuel tank that was in the left-hand lane. And I jumped out, grabbed my gloves, headed back, talked with the officer, said, what do you want? What do you need done? He said, just hold tight. He went and checked on the other cars and the other people, and I chatted with the driver a little bit and talked with him. And then Officer Ron came back and said, we got to get him out. It's on fire. So we forced the door and were able to pull him out. He got the seatbelt loose, but it was kind of tied up in him. And we extracted him from the cab and got him over onto the median in the grass. And time really doesn't mean a lot to you at that point. It just goes so fast, and I thought it was a minute or two, but it could have been just a few seconds. At that point, the rest of the truck started on fire, because you could see it was kind of a whoosh. And my wife was back at the car praying it wouldn't explode. So we pulled the driver off a little further. At that point, the 2 nurses were there, and it was very quickly when the Windom Police Department had gotten there. I was surprised at how quickly they got there, and that was good. So we got Mike out, and he is good. We checked on him, and he's released from the hospital. So that's what was important, and it's just reaction, and you do what you can. If you read the story of the Good Samaritan in Luke 10, he just met the needs of what needed to be done at the time, and that's part of Minnesota. So I'd like to think that, any of my brothers would have done exactly the same. It's just how we were raised. So thank you.
Well, first of all, great work. I'm curious what you do in your normal day-to-day life when you're not helping save lives.
I operate a tree trimming business and nursery, so we're dealing with equipment and situations where you have to make decisions all the time relatively quickly, and so you just do it, and so that's just part of our life.
And that's why you had the gloves.
I had the gloves. I didn't have my hard hat and safety glasses, so.
And where were you originally from? Where were you driving from that day?
We were coming from Worthington, driving up to the state fair, and the serendipity of life. We would have left a half an hour earlier, but we got the keys locked in our car, and so that delayed us enough to be there.
It's emotional.
Yes. If I can step forward, we did, our truck driver, Mike Junker, it's spelled Junker, wasn't able to be here. He is home recovering because he survived this crash. But he is very grateful, and he did have a statement that he asked me to read today, and I'll read that. And this is attributed to Michael Junker. I would like to thank Trooper Richards and Mr. Paul Langseth for their heroic actions Monday afternoon. Without their help, I sincerely believe I would not be here today. I also want to thank the 2 women that helped me before the EMTs arrived. Thank you very much, Michael Junker. Do we have any other questions from the media for our trooper or for Mr. Langseth?
I was actually wondering about his wife too. What was going through your mind as you're watching all this? Sorry to put you on the spot, but you're watching this all unfold as well, and your husband's running in there.
Yeah, I was doing a lot of praying, like he said, to make sure everyone was okay.
Did time move as quickly for you as you're watching this, or the reverse?
Kind of the reverse, it is fast, but when you stop your vehicle and get out to see what is going on, you have to think, we have to do something. There's decisions that have to be made, and Paul, fortunately, is able to do that.
Were you surprised that he jumped into action like he did?
No, I'm not. So, thank you.
And I understand you two were going to a concert.
The state fair?
Yeah, we were happy together. We did.
Yes.
It was the Happy Together concert at the state fair, so it all kind of works out the way it needs to, and
I think there is a couple miracles in this crash.
Yes, there is.
Number one, that the truck driver, Michael Junker, was in the only survivable part of that cab.
Yep.
And number 2, that you locked your keys in your car and were 30 minutes delayed, and that put you in the right place at the right time.
Yep.
And as state troopers, we go to fatal car accidents, and a family's life is forever changed, and you prevented that family from having to go through a lifetime of sadness. So thank you both for being true Minnesotans and saving this man's life.
Well, without Ron there directing everything, it would have been different. So
2 men in the right place at the right time.
I have one other question for Paul. Maybe we can.
Speak up to the microphone. What went through your mind when you heard this call going out that they were looking for this Good Samaritan, and you realized, hey, that's me?
I didn't have any idea of that until Wednesday. Life is just so busy that I don't spend a lot of time on social media, and it was actually the reporter that I had shared the picture with of the crash. We were both at the same meeting on Tuesday afternoon, and so I gave her the picture of the crash, and they used it in the Daily Globe. And the next Wednesday night, she texted me and said, the State Highway Patrol is looking for you, which didn't make me feel real good. And they, at that point, I hadn't even looked at the media at all, and Thursday morning is kind of when stuff broke loose, when I talked with Tiffany, and that's when I found out, that there was a lot more media coverage on this than we thought about, because I just don't watch it.
I'm just curious your thoughts about all
This attention now.
Again, I was at 15 minutes of my time or a half an hour of my time compared to what caregivers have to do who take care of family or even not family that don't get the thanks. I think it's a lot of recognition for one person for just doing what we do, and other people don't get that recognition. I'll accept it because it's a good story, and it makes people realize that there are people out there like me who are willing and able to help and want to help if they can. And then there's other people who, whether it's a spouse that's got Alzheimer's or something else, that have to daily care for somebody, and it drags on them, and they don't get the recognition that they should.
I will add, once a year we do have an awards banquet where we recognize state troopers and citizens of Minnesota for heroic actions, and Paul and his wife will be invited to that. And we always notify the media when that's happening, so if you want to follow up, and that will be in April, so you will get invited, so be prepared. So it's just another opportunity for us to say thank you, and we appreciate the help and the services that were provided out there on the side of the road by good citizens like Paul Langseth and other Minnesotans that are all over our state.